Hi, I'm Roz. Welcome to my porch. This morning we're going to be making a lovely little osprey nest with some osprey eggs. We're going to start by gathering our supplies, doing a few steps. You're going to end up with something beautiful that you can give your family and friends. So let's get started. So the supplies you're going to need for our nest is a small ramekin, a brown paper circle around 12 inches in diameter, some glue, and some grasses that I actually gathered. Now, when you do gather your grasses, make sure that you only cut a few at a time, not leaving a big hole, because we want to make sure we leave nature as beautiful as we found it. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start by folding it inside the ramekin, just like so. Okay, I'm going to push it down a little bit. All right, now I don't want this ramekin, I want to use this for some yummy soup later or something. So I'm going to take it out, but I can see where I had the folds. So I'm just going to refold it real quick. Okay, I'm going to put my ramekin in it to make sure that's about what I want. Okay, so here we go. I'm calling this our skeleton. All right, so it's the skeleton of our nest. All right, next we're going to turn it upside down and we're going to start with the grasses. All right, so from my grasses that I collected, I'm going to first take some glue, and clear glue is the best because it's not going to show. All right, I'm going to make a little circle, and the secret to the placement of the grasses is really to work in a spiral. So I'm going to take a few lengths of grasses right like this. I'm going to wrap it around my finger, okay, and I'm going to place it right here. We're going to start it right in the middle, and you're going to start on the bottom. Now this is where it takes patience. Patience isn't on the list of what you need, but definitely patience is what you need to make this nest, all right? Because glue does take time to dry, all right? So make sure maybe you want some music playing, or you think of something really great while you're doing this. All right. So again, I'm going to hold this down while it dries. So now we're just going to continue. Again, we're going to continue in a circle. And that's pretty easy to remember because a nest is in a circle, isn't it? It's kind of circular. All right, so I'm going to put glue around. All right. Okay. Then I'm going to take some other lengths of grass. Now this I don't have to twirl around my finger because I already did that. I'm just going to be placing it around my first circle, okay? And I'm going to hold it. And again, patience. So you're going to continue like this around the whole nest. You're going to do the bottom. You're going to go around the sides and the top and the inside. With patience, you're going to get to this stage right here. You can see I started at the bottom, circular all the way around, the sides, the top, and into the middle. This one could use a little bit more. I didn't want to finish it. I wanted to show you this stage right here. But basically, that's what you do. If you feel like it, you can take a scissor and snip the nest a little to clean it up. But remember, nature is usually very free-flowing. So here is my finished product. And what I wanted to show you here, it's fun to customize your nest. This actually has a little piece of black plastic because the osprey nest that I observed this year, the osprey picked up some black plastic and put it in their nest. And it's a really good reminder that we need to really take care of nature, pick up any garbage we might see, because it might just end up in one of your friend's nests. So here we go. Here's your beautiful nest. Let's move on to the eggs. Let's start with our ingredients. We are going to start with 1 cup of flour that I've already put in my bowl right here. Next, I'm going to use 1/2 cup of salt. So in goes the salt. All right. Lastly, for the dough, it's going to be 1/2 cup of water. It's nice when it's nice warm water because it feels good in our hands. I hope you like to get your hands dirty, because I do. All right, we're going to mix it around, turning it over. You can see how it's getting doughy. Okay, and your hands are getting nice and messy. That's a good sign. So I think we're just about ready with our dough, and this is a salt dough. It's great actually to even make Christmas ornaments with. So I've got my dough right here. I'm going to take a teaspoon and take about a heaping teaspoon. And you know, the size of your eggs really have to do with the size of your nest. It has to be proportionate. We're going to roll it like a meatball and elongate it a little bit, because eggs aren't only round, they're a little long. Okay, and then I'm going to take some flour before I put it down. Sprinkle it on my plate. Make sure my egg, and a crack is okay because eggs have cracks. Make sure my eggs have some flour on the bottom so they don't stick. Okay, let's do one more. All right, I'm going to take heaping teaspoon. This one's going to be a little smaller, it looks like. That's okay. Eggs are all different sizes, right? And roll it like a meatball. Then we're going to elongate it. Put it on our floured plate. Put a little flour on the bottom so it doesn't stick. All right, this recipe actually makes 24 eggs, so you'll be fine. After you've made all your eggs, you're going to put them in a little baking pan, just like this. And we're going to set our oven at the lowest setting that you have is probably 150. My oven was 170. And now patience. Remember, we had patience with the nest. We're going to have patience with the eggs for them to dry. It's going to take a couple hours, all right? But when it's done, you're going to have eggs that look just like this. You can see that they're white, and we need to do some coloration of them. So to do that, we're going to use a tea bag, some brown paint, and maybe a little clear nail polish at the end. I'm going to start with this one. I love tea. Tea's good any time of day, right? I'm going to squeeze the water out. And you know, tea has always been a stain. And I'm just going to make the egg a little beige. Okay, you can see the difference between the beige and the white. Makes it look a little bit more authentic. Right, let's do another one. Do you hear those birds? Aren't they beautiful? I'm so fortunate. Okay, all right, and I'll do one more. Okay, and again, you can see that they're not white now. They're a little stained. Okay, so you can see the difference there. All right, so we did our initial staining. Now we're just going to take some, this is just some acrylic paint. You only need a tiny bit. All right, got my paintbrush. And an Osprey egg actually has some brown spots on it. So we're going to take, just kind of dab it randomly. Okay, do one, next one. All right, and then let's do the third. Oop, that one came out a little darker, didn't it? That's okay. Okay. All right. Now this last step, most of the eggs I've seen are not flat. They have a little bit of a sheen to them. So I took some nail polish, and that was my clear paint, so I didn't have to buy anything special. And I gave my egg a little bit of a sheen. All right, so there you have it. So you're going to end up with this beautiful nest that you made and our lovely eggs. And I have to say that all of this was inspired by the Nature Conservancy and the webcam that we were able to see how the nest was made, the laying of the eggs. It was all so beautiful. Well, thank you for taking this journey with me, making our lovely nest and eggs. Maybe I might see you taking a walk at one of the many Nature Conservancy properties. It's so much fun. Bye-bye now.